Ladies and gentlemen.
Solo.
Hey, you're watching Geekcaster. We're talking about Solo. This is Solo Review and Rant Part 2. I'm Michael Seven Michael. You're watching Geekcaster, everything geek culture and geek media. And today we have...
Up, guys. This is Bevan. This is So-So, a Star Wars story Part 2. We've already started this, and we just kept going, so we need a Part 2 of this.
Yeah. So, and it was So-So.
Yeah, again, for the diehard Star Wars fans out there that like either love this movie or hate this movie, it's okay. You can like or hate this movie, and we're all still going to be Star Wars nerds, and it's going to be fine. It's one movie. I mean, I kind of want to say, too, that, like, really the only houses that have the reputations of always hitting home runs, or they're, like, 90% of the time they're going to hit a home run, is Pixar and Marvel right now. Every other house, like the Disney live action, the Star Wars stories, the DCEU, there are hits and misses. And Star Wars has had a lot of hits and a lot of misses. So this is just a conversation of, like, did this movie hit or miss for you? For us, it's kind of on the, well, it didn't hurt me, it didn't hit me, but I'm not going to stomp around saying it's the worst thing ever either.
And based on all the industry talk, yeah, Ron Howard is brilliant because he took what they were saying was horrible, was terrible, and he turned it into, it was a good movie. You know what I mean? It wasn't, again, it didn't knock it out the park, but that had nothing to do with the direction. That was the writing. They weren't Star Wars fans, you could tell. They just kind of threw something together and said, this is what it's going to be.
It was a very safe script.
Right.
They didn't take a lot of risks. I think a lot of people were divided by The Last Jedi, and say what you want about The Last Jedi. I would rather emote an emotion of frustration and hate than an emotion of indifference. Right. And right now I feel emotion of indifference. Like if somebody comes at me and go, man, I really love this movie, I'm like, great. Or if I really hate this movie, then I'm like, great. I'm kind of blah about it, which is why I call it So-So. So-So. It's So-So. And, you know, like we said in part one, it's not doing well at the box office, and people are having their debate. Why? I think a combination of many. Last Jedi rubbed people the wrong way. Memorial Day weekend. It's notorious for not being a weekend to go see movies. There are two really strong, really solid films that are still out in theaters. Infinity War, which is it's an event movie, and Deadpool 2, which is a different. Like there's nothing like Deadpool ever. I mean, in the terms of like the superhero genre, it's so unique, it's so different, it makes a lot of bold choices, and knows what it is, and it draws in people to go see it again. There's a lot of Easter eggs happening in Deadpool 2, and it warrants a second viewing. Same thing with Infinity War. It's an event. We've been waiting for 18 films for this to come out, and it's such... It really hits you in places that you never thought you'd be hit, and I think people are like, that will draw you back into the theater. Solo was never a Star Wars film that people are like, can't wait to see it, you know, kind of.
Right. Like Boba Fett. And if they mess up Boba Fett, I don't know what to tell you. They really should stop because a lot of people... Boba Fett is one of the characters that was just there, and people just fell in love with Boba Fett. There's a whole community around that one particular character. And I'm so surprised they didn't... Even with Rogue One, I'm surprised they didn't just go straight into Boba Fett.
I mean, I'm not somebody that's like a Boba Fett person,
right?
But like, I get the justifiable argument of why a Boba Fett film should exist over a Han Solo movie existing. Mm-hmm. Like, I never understood why the studios thought a Han Solo film was necessary besides just the cash grab of like, oh, it's Solo, he's on Solo, he's on Solo, Solo. Like, I feel like, you know, there are people that have been asking for Obi-Wan trilogy, which we may get. Okay. And there are people that have asked for a Boba film, which we are getting. And there's two separate trilogies that are being made now. One by Rian Johnson, which I'm not sure if people will see, and the other one by the Game of Thrones guys, which I'm sure people will see.
With Star Wars?
Yeah.
What are they based on?
No, they're original trilogies. They're not going to have anything to do with Skywalker family at all. It's just going to be its own thing. Which
wow.
I'm more intrigued by that than I would be a Obi-Wan.
But it will have Jedis. It will.
Yeah, I don't know what the timeline will be of it. It's just it's not going to have anything to do with the episodes that have already been made. It's just going to be its own thing. And honestly, at this point, Star Wars, I want you to just make your own thing. I don't want to see 2 more films of Han Solo. I've already had 3/4 films of Han Solo. The Han Solo I like. So it's like I don't need 2 more of these. And with the box office not doing as well, maybe that justifies them being like, all right, this is one and done, kind of thing. Even though the critics have said it's decent, but nobody's in love with this film in terms of the critics. I mean, There are some fans that do love this film, and there are some fans that just don't. And there's a lot of people that are just.
What do you think of the chemistry? This in his whole romance.
I mean, I liked Kira as a character. I would have, instead of like the whole train heist thing, I would have liked to see more of her motivation of why she's such a bitch to Han Solo in terms of like the ending of it.
Right.
Like from all I saw, she loved him. She cared about him. She wanted to get. I thought she was just a prisoner, and then once she, spoiler alert, killed Paul Bettany's gang member, gangster guy, that she would go with him. But then, of course, you knew that she couldn't go with him, because then what would be the point of Leia? And then, so when she betrayed him, I kind of wanted to see what, like, has she been influenced by the Force? Because the Force hasn't been mentioned at all in this movie.
Right.
Which they honestly can't, because Han Solo says in A New Hope, I've never seen anything but the Force, I don't believe in it, whatever. And that's when the Skywalkers influenced to start believing in the Force. So, I'm not, like, that was a little unclear to me. And again, we go back to Michael and I say that our biggest problem with this movie is script writing and not really the actors, not the direction. The practical effects were nice. The sets were nice. I like practical effects over CGI. And I like that I saw sets versus green screen sets. But like Kira's, I don't know, what did you think of their relationship? I was kind of indifferent.
Again, going back to the writing, you felt the relationship early on, but then it was so weird. It was just, there was a disconnect. I don't know if it was just how the acting or the writing. I'm leaning towards the writing, because I felt for someone that you didn't see for so long and you left at such a high point, that she would have a little bit more warmth, or feel like a struggle. I can't show you the warmth that I have for you because
she needed
I'm
more.
captive.
If she was going to betray him at the end, I want to see more an emotional conflict with her,
right?
In terms of like the dark side is influencing her. I mean, it's very much like if you were going to have the Force in it, then put it in her, because obviously the big reveal, which again I didn't watch Star Wars Rebels, so I was shocked by the scene. But you have to call him Maul and not Darth Maul, because he's no longer a Sith Lord, according to my brother, is a Star Wars Rebels nerd. So there,
message.
Huh?
I said message.
Yeah, he's a nerd with Star Wars Rebels, and I just didn't watch it, so I didn't know that Darth Maul survived. And I didn't know that I apparently.
Wait, when he was cut in half, he survived?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Oh, you didn't know this? So apparently Darth Maul is in Star Wars Rebels, and apparently I think his relative, his brother or something, even though he's cut in half, he like finds him somehow at the bottom of that, what was that, vent that he fell down? Mm-hmm. I don't know. He fell down something, he survived that somehow, and his brother, if you look at the film, he's got metal legs, the bottom half of his body is robot. And he is no longer a Sith Lord, and in Rebels, he's finally killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi before A New Hope happens, which messes up the timelines a little bit for me, guys, because according to A New Hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi has not been anywhere doing any Jedi tricks since the Clone Wars, so that, I guess we're going to change that, which is fine, especially if we're going to get an Obi-Wan
Wait
trilogy.
a minute, and you see, this is the problem. You had a great character. You didn't utilize him because you want to put so much time into Jar Jar Binks and some other foolishness. Then you want to backtrack and say, you know what, let's bring him back. No, do it right the first time. Or just create another awesome character.
I mean, honestly,
because it messes everything up.
You could have just put Darth Vader in that hologram thing, and I would have been so happy with that too. Because I think one of my favorite things about Rogue One, and I know a lot of people online are comparing So-So and Rogue One because they're standalones. Say what you want about Rogue One, there was a lot of you felt the danger of the Empire. Like it was existing in a world where it was very much like a World War II kind of setting where the Empire's presence was everywhere, and there was a sense of danger, and it was a sense that they were competent bad guys. You know, they could actually shoot and hit something.
Right.
So that was nice to see that. And then I loved the way they utilized Darth Vader in Rogue One because he was just there enough to be intimidating, and the last 30 seconds of Rogue One made the entire movie. That's what I remember without a doubt.
Definitely.
Is the last, well, I guess it's not even 30 seconds, like 45 seconds of just Darth Vader being a...
And it was seamless, too, going into A New Hope. I mean, that was the best last minute of a film.
Of a Star Wars film, for sure. It's like the best ending of a Star Wars.
Definitely. Now, wait a minute. Did you like the excuse of the alien that was like, oh, these helmets, how can they see in this? This is why they shoot so bad, because they can't move their neck and they can't see. I'm like, okay. I thought that was funny.
I mean, it's actually true because if you know the organization, the 501st, those are guys that are still bad guys doing a force for good. They do a lot of charity. I'm friends with some of them that have like these stormtrooper movie replica outfits, and if you do put on the helmet, you don't see below your nose.
Oh, wow.
You only see straight ahead. So there's a joke in the music video I did where we're crawling underneath them, and it's the joke because they can't see below them.
Oh, wow.
Because the design of the helmet is terrible for sight. It really is. Like
it just looks good.
It looked good to George Lucas at the time, and then they just kept it out of nostalgia. But like realistically, if you had an army, I think actually in Force Awakens they try and fix it. Like the helmets the eye sockets are slightly bigger now. I think I haven't seen Force in a while, but I noticed that some stormtroopers have wider lenses to justify, hey, they can shoot. What were we talking?
No, I just thought that was a really funny reference, and I thought that was really clever that they threw that in there because that's been a joke for the longest time. They can't see, they can't shoot. This is so silly.
Yeah, there's definitely a Han shot first moment that felt cliche. There's definitely a lot of cliches in here. Like I got a good feeling about this. Oh man, guys. Yeah. I know a guy on Tatooine. Oh man, guys, where's my notes on that? Like,
and you got to say that line twice because they had to say it. Like,
they had to say it twice. Well, I know a job on Tatooine. Yeah.
And that would be the only loophole for one more film to show what went down between him and Jabba. That's it.
I don't need it.
Don't need it, but also they can't squeeze 2 more films out of that.
If this makes enough money, they will try. And again, to me, it's like I think we talked about this a little bit. It takes away from the whole solo experience, like the solo journey of the original trilogy. Like in the original trilogy, Solo learns to care. Solo learns to be a team player instead of a solo player,
and to love.
And I feel like he already has those lessons learned in this movie. Does that mean that this trilogy that we're going to get is darkening him, basically? Or hardening him? Like they're going to just do a reverse effect? Well, he used to be a good guy and care about other people and want to work on a team. But then all this stuff happened to make him go, well, then screw it.
And you know what's interesting, too? Because they even say, no, Han, you're a good guy. They literally say it.
Yeah, Kira says it. He's like, no, I'm not. I was like, well, I mean, you haven't done anything to prove that you're not.
Right.
I don't see a lot of selfishness in Han in this movie.
Wasn't that the big thing that women would say? Are they a Luke Skywalker guy or they want a Han Solo guy. I mean, it was like the classic bad boy and good guy partnership.
Yeah, it. When you take away, they tried to make Han Solo both of those things, and I don't think it worked as well. Let's talk about Alden Ehrenreich for a second, the guy that was cast as Han Solo.
Okay.
The first actual thing I did after I got out of the movie, besides go watch Empire as a palate cleanser, was actually to go and look at Men in Black 3 for a second. Because, I don't know if just because it's not as iconic of a character, but what was done so well in Men in Black 3, speaking of the man that's having the best summer ever, Josh Brolin, Josh Brolin's K and Men in Black 3, you bought that he was Tommy Lee Jones's K the first 2 minutes he was on screen. Like, you just bought it. The way he looked, the way he behaved, physically, emotionally, and even vocally. Like, vocally, he sounded like Tommy Lee Jones K. And it was such a great impression of something that, maybe not as iconic, but it was something that we all knew. We all knew Tommy Lee Jones's K from the last 2 Men in Black movies.
Right.
And he just did a solidly good job of convincing me that they were one and the same. It's not the case in this movie. Alden Ehrenreich, I think, he was told by Harrison Ford to make this part his own, but if I have to have a film about Han Solo, I want to see more than I need to see Han Solo, and I felt like I got a performance that was admirable, a lot of work. I felt that he was being private. I thought he was doing a lot of great acting, but I didn't believe him as Han Solo.
If you didn't have to compare, and this lived, I think that's the problem with a lot of these films, that they don't live alone. You can't treat them like they're their own thing because you have so much you have to connect it with, and even with the writing, you have to build those bridges with the writing, and they weren't. I don't know, they weren't up to doing that, or they just didn't think they needed to do that.
There's going to be people that are arguing like, well, no, it can't be the same thing. I was like, okay, then make your own Star Wars movie. No, honestly, give Alden Ehrenreich and Donald Glover their own Star Wars adventure.
Right.
Honestly, because you're putting a lot of pressure on them to act characters that are already very iconic and stapled into our society for the past 40 years.
Wow.
So it's really hard for me to go in there and say, I'm seeing a Han Solo movie, and A, not see Harrison Ford, and B, see somebody do something different with it. I think Alden Ehrenreich is a very good actor. I just think that he fell into this trap of like, well, he said to make it my own, but I gotta also remind people of Han Solo while still making it my own. Then that means it only works half the time. Whereas in Josh Brolin's K in Men in Black 3, it worked. He was playing a more optimistic version of K, but you still believe that was the same man, except younger. Right. I mean, I even looked up reviews for Men in Black 3. Josh Brolin got the highest praise from that movie because people were like, I am so impressed that you made me believe you two were that Tommy Lee Jones and Josh Brolin were the same character. Just minus a couple of, decades of age difference. And that's the way you do it. If you're gonna have to do it, then you're gonna have to, I don't want to say imitate, because even Josh Brolin said in interviews, I didn't imitate, I just did my best to find the reputation in myself of like, this is how he says slick all the time. He goes, he says partner, he's got a slightly country accent, he's very stiff, he doesn't smile, like, it worked very, very well as opposed to this type of... And even Donald Glover's Lando was... At least he found the voice of Lando, but he was missing some of the swag.
Right.
I don't know what you think.
No, I see that too. There was something missing. There was a confidence that was missing. Like this little oomph that was...
Yeah.
That was just even to have the gut to be around a whole bunch of criminals.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? It was confidence, and there was a dark side that needed to be there because again, Lando, when he was introduced to us, he was a gangster.
Yeah.
He was a mobster. And he was a reformed mobster that became legitimate and created his own world, his own Vegas in the sky. So we needed to see when he was really bad.
I think from both...
And really a womanizer, and there was no dark side there at all.
I think from both of them, I was missing these are two characters that look out for themselves, and they're going to smile while they screw you over.
Right.
That happened once. There was like a couple of moments where it's like that happened where like the Millennium Falcon takes off.
Right.
Embarrassing Han like that. And then there was a funny exchange between them when the ship was damaged. He's like, it's a great ship. And he's like mad about it. That was funny. But I never felt the swagger tricksters that both of them were, before they get reformed in the original trilogy.
And again, to be really clear, they were not good guys.
Yeah.
So for them to join the rebellion meant something. Even for Lando to get screwed over by the Empire.
Yeah.
And then to be like, you know what? I'm going to go to the other side, and I'm going to cede to you. That meant something, but you had to have seen how bad he was. These were like two good guys that just kind of like doing their thing. They're they're gamblers, but that was it.
There wasn't a lot of character development, and the people that do like this movie are like, well, if you turn off your brain and just have a good time, then you're gonna have a good time. Sure,
that's what reality TV's for.
Yeah, but also too, I expect more. I mean, all Star Wars films, to me, there was always a sense of urgency and a sense of type of like, even Last Jedi. Say what you want about the Last Jedi. There was still a sense of like, there is danger in the world, and we have to overcome it, and we're going to be tempted by the light and dark side of just the world, the galaxy.
Right.
Again, this is not necessarily a movie for it because neither one of these people believe in the Force, but when you take out the Force and the mystical, the wizarding factor.
You have politics.
Oh, yeah, the politics of this.
That needs to still stay there, definitely.
Then it just becomes a heist movie that is, again, a very cliched heist movie that doesn't have a lot of stakes because I know all three of them are going to survive. So even when they're doing the Kessel Run, which was very visually stunning, I knew nothing was going to happen to them.
Right.
I was maybe looking forward to seeing more of Chewie and Han's validation of why they stick together. I didn't see a lot of that. There's a moment where Chewbacca has a choice to either go with his own kind or stay with Han. He chooses to stay with Han, which I expect, but where is the justification of that? Where was the scenes of Chewbacca growing like, I like this kid, I'm sticking around with this kid? I didn't see, because they were never really, there was not a lot of alone time between the two of them. There wasn't even the conversation of like, hey, you saved my life, so I'm going to stick with you until I save yours. Like, there was nothing that justified Chewie's choice to stay with Han.
What do you think of Boss?
Boss was who again?
Brighton Voss was played by Paul Bettany.
Oh, you mean Paul Bettany?
Yes, Paul Bettany.
I thought Paul Bettany was having a good time. I thought he knew that he was like, I'm playing a Star Wars villain. This is fun. I didn't mind him at all. Again, I was indifferent. I thought he was very aware that I'm that kind of character in this Star Wars movie, so I'm going to ham it up and do what I can, kind of thing. He still, script-wise, not actor-wise, had, some lines. It's like, well, I got to answer to this guy. How are we gonna go through this? Oh, really? Who's the guy? Is it the Empire? Yeah, he was...
Random side note. Please do another priest.
Oh, yeah.
Please. Just stop it. Stop all this other foolishness and just do another. That was good. And I could see them totally developing and doing something really great. That world was not explored enough. Just random, but that was awesome. And if you haven't seen that movie, please check that out.
Can I get it?
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Oh, you like that one too?
I haven't seen it in a long time, but now you're making me want to do it. Let's talk about the cameos of Warwick Davis. He was in the...
oh, yes.
Warwick Davis has
been... He was an Ewok.
He was an original Ewok. He's been in every he's been in a lot of Star Wars films, and he was one of the pirates with what's her face, Infus Nest, which Infus Nest was another underdeveloped character. Like when she, like in the terms of editing, when they revealed her to be a girl. You thought for a second, oh wait, is that the child of Woody Harrelson and Sandy Newton? Sadie Newton? Because I thought for a second she was. I was like, oh, that would have been a great reveal. But yeah, Warwick Davis has been Star Wars nerd, been an Ewok. He's taken part in Harry Potter.
Did you know that Ron Howard was the at least I'm correct with it, that he got the final director's cut for Willow?
I did not know
that. So maybe that's where his relationship with Warwick, that even though Warwick wasn't a lot of Star Wars films, but Warwick was in that too.
In a Star Wars film?
Willow.
Oh, Willow. No, he got his own Ewok movie, which bombed, and
right.
Then he's in a lot of other Star Wars films, like as just like a random alien or something like that. He's also he was in Phantom Menace as well. So yeah, he's made a lot of cameos. So they just revealed and be like, oh look, that's a cool little Easter egg for you guys. I mean, again, he was kind of pointless, but he was there as an Easter egg. It worked as a funny Easter egg of like, hey, look, it's Warwick Davis.
And for you little film geeks out there, he played the Leprechaun as well.
Of course he did.
Wicket. Yeah, he was in Willow. Yep, he was in Willow. I am correct on that. Leprechaun. What else?
Pew, pew.
Wow. So that's awesome. It was good to cool when they used the people. Oh, did you know that played R2D2? You know he's in there too, right? Anthony Daniels.
Oh no, you mean C-3PO?
C-3PO, yeah.
Yeah, because the guy that played R2D2 is
he passed
away. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Daniels played Tak.
Who is Tak?
That is one of the characters, I believe.
Is it one of the pirates?
Yes, I believe he's the pirate. Hold on. Just to make sure. T-A-K.
Yeah, I mean, because this was also the first Star Wars film where R2-D2 and C-3PO don't make a cameo. They have literally been in every single Star Wars film but this. They were in Rogue One, the prequels, and the original. So that was a first. Which, in Rogue One, it did feel a little bit like on the nose of an Easter egg, but it was still nice to see them because they are a staple to the Star Wars franchise. But I also understand, I'm also fine with them not being in Han Solo because, again, there's no justification in the script or the story that they would show up unless unless they showed up with Kira or that, which they wouldn't have because I think right now they are with Leia's step-parents.
Oh, that's
on what's the name of the planet? I feel like a bad nerd right now. I'm not listening. Endor?
No, it wasn't Endor.
What is she on?
I'm still trying to find a Tak. I'm like, I think Tak was the guy with the multiple arms, right? Flying the ship.
No, that was Jon Favreau.
Oh.
That was the alien.
Ooh, we're running out of time on this. All right.
I mean, wrapping up, basically in terms of like questions I would like to ask the audience is like, would you watch 2 other Solo films?
Right.
Are you excited for Boba Fett? Do you want an Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy? Are you excited for the Rian Johnson trilogy or the Game of Thrones guys trilogy?
Right.
Do you want more Rogue One and less name Star Wars? They're all questions that are interesting for a discussion because we're still going to get Star Wars films regardless of whether you like it or not. The question is, which ones do we want to see?
All right, guys. We will continue. You're watching Geekcaster, and for wonderful youth, universe of geekdom. Geekcast.
Bye, guys.